Vine moved her lips, for she was about to say something, but her fiance, John, had enough of her, that he didn't think twice before slapping her. This was the second time when he slapped her, and that too when they were outside the room, where every servant could see her. Vine no more had the energy to prove herself right. Just do whatever you want. I can no longer do this, she said in despair, in a low tone, trying to accept her fate as she knows she can't escape it. You, you dare to say that? John growled in anger as he raised his hand to slap her again. But to his amusement, someone came to hold his hand to stop him from slapping her. John got angrier as he looked at the person and said, "Who are you? How dare you hold my hand? Leave it in an instant. Otherwise," Jungkook, who was holding John's hand, instead of leaving it, he twisted it behind his back, which made him groan in pain. "Jungkook, I'm her bodyguard. Don't dare to touch her, or I'm not staying quiet." "Okay, okay. Leave my hand first. I'll explain," John said when he was suffering from the pain. For Vine was looking at it all, rather than telling Jungkook that John is her fiance and that he doesn't have the right to do this. But as she was enjoying it, she stayed quiet. Jungkook left his hand, and John groaned again, for he turned to Jungkook with his dangerous gaze again. "John, do you know who I am? I'm her fiance. I can do whatever I want with her. Who are you to hold me back?" "Jungkook, you can do whatever you want with her?" "Well, not anymore, because I won't let that happen. If you do it again, I will twist your head this time, rather than your arm." "John, who hired you? Tell me his name. I'll have you fired right now." Jungkook came one step closer to him and looked at his eyes with his dark, devilish eyes. For John didn't want to suffer anymore after seeing the look in his eyes. "Just wait and watch how I deal with you," John said while going away from there. For Jungkook was relieved and looked at Vine, but was stunned to see her frozen at her place, while looking at him with her shining bright eyes for the whole time. "Jungkook, is something wrong with my face? Are you okay?" "Vine, although you're going to be fired, you were really cool right there. I loved it." "Jungkook, did he hurt you too much? Are you fine?" "Vine, you're still asking about me? Why would you do that when you knew that he's my fiance?" Jungkook sighed in despair and said to her, "You're right. Why did I? I don't know myself. But guess I'll have to bear the outcome now," he said and sat on the couch while smiling from despair. "Vine, you don't know? Are you an idiot or what?" she said when she sat beside him. "Jungkook, what about you? Why didn't you say anything when he was doing that? You're rich. You could call anyone to save you." "Rich?" Vine scoffed. "Yes, I am rich. Because of him. He gave my family all of this on the condition of me marrying him. And my parents didn't even think twice. Pathetic, right?" Vine said and smiled, looking at him. He instantly understood the pain behind that smile when he looked in her eyes. She can't lie when her eyes are filled with only sorrow and despair. Jungkook, why would you tell me that? Ain't I just a bodyguard? Wine, you're right. Why did I? She sighed deeply while saying, for they both started laughing upon this. It's been a long time since I laughed because I wanted to. What about you? Who hired you? I didn't know about it, asked Wine. Jungkook, your dad did it for you. It was my first day, but guess I'm getting fired on my very first day. I knew I wasn't fit for this bodyguard kind of stuff. Vine put her hand on his shoulder while saying, no, you did well, even on your first day. You were my bodyguard, so let me tell you that I was impressed. Jungkook looked at her and smiled, first time from the heart, but gradually comes to the reality when she says to him, but we'll both have to live our everyday lives like hell again after this day. It was nice meeting you anyway. We'll have to separate ways, Jungkook said and looked in her eyes, for he didn't want to let go of it. How you do you want to run away with me? Jungkook, I'll protect you from this world. Be it your parents or your fiance. Let's leave here. Stop it, Vine said, without caring to listen to him anymore, as his words were too shocking for her. Jungkook gradually calms down and realizes what he was saying, for he stood from the couch and said, forget what I said. I wasn't in my right mind. Then let's separate ways from here. Vine couldn't even expect running away from her home. She never imagined doing something like that. But as he was about to go, she thought about it. It could be an option. Why did I never think about it? She wondered. Vine, wait, can't you stay until my dad comes himself to fire you? Let's talk together. Let's eat together. I haven't been so comfortable in a while. Can't you stay for a bit more time? Jungkook, why weren't you comfortable? Don't you have your parents? Vine scoffed. Parents? I despise them from every corner of my heart. I just want to be reborn with some good people around me that just don't use me, rather, understand me too. Jungkook did again look in her eyes and saw that loneliness again, for he didn't want to leave it like that after seeing it. He wanted to do something to make her forget about everything for a while, at least for the time he is here. Jungkook, let's go then, to make food and then eat together, just like you want. Wine. Really? But do you know how to cook? I don't know it at all. Jungkook. What? Seriously? Okay then, what's your favorite food? I'll teach you how to cook it today. Wine. You would do it? No way. Then I should be picky, right? She giggled, looking at him. Let's make cheesecake then. It's my favorite, she said while licking her lips, for Jungkook's heart skipped a beat, looking at her. He started stealing sight from her as he walked towards the kitchen, together with Wine, who had only him and the cheesecake in her mind. She forgot about other things for a while. Jungkook gave her the clear instructions about everything one by one, but her clumsy self couldn't even do one task at a time. It wasn't long that he was annoyed, and the whole kitchen was filled with smoke and water spread everywhere on the floor. Jungkook, you really, seriously, don't know anything about cooking. She looked at him, all embarrassed, and gave him that awkward smile of hers, which made him even more irritated, for he said, just go outside. I'll come with your cheesecake, and don't dare to step in. Wine. I I really made your work double right, Jungkook. Just go when I say. She quietly and fastly went away from there, only getting embarrassed and thinking about what must he be thinking about me. After a couple of minutes, Jungkook came outside the kitchen with the cheesecake in his hand, looking all messed up from the floor on his clothes. For a moment, she laughed looking at him, but when he sat there, she looked only at the cake. This looks really good. I'll take a bite first, Wine said, getting all excited to taste it. Jungkook, wait, first bite will be from me. Open your mouth, he said without letting her resist, for he filled the spoon and took it towards her mouth. She didn't even open her mouth yet that they heard some voice from behind, saying, look, I told you right, they have an affair. I was so sure of it, John said to Wine's dad when they entered together in the mansion. Wine's attention went towards them from the food, for Jungkook was annoyed by now when he said, why now of all times? Let her have a bite, he said to himself and then sighed deeply, as he knows he is going to be kicked out now. Do you not have any shame? John is doing so much for us, and that's how you pay him back? Wine's dad said, looking at Wine with anger. Wine screamed, finally against her dad. What is he doing for me, huh? He paid you. He fed you. What am I to him? Did you ever ask? What am I to you, Dad? Did you ever think about my choice? Wine's dad. What else do you want? He is ready to give all his money to you. What else do you want? Wine scoffed. Money, money, money. Why do you never see anything besides it? You're such a rude dad. Wine didn't even complete saying that. Her father slapped her hard on the face while saying, how dare you talk back to me? Have you become older than me to talk like that? Wine wanted to speak more, curse more, but she already had tears in her eyes when her own father slapped her. She didn't want a life like this, parents like them, or a fiance like him. She did think about Jungkook at that moment. She wanted a life that he talked about earlier, with only the two of them. Jungkook, on the other hand, washed her tears. He did indeed behave bad to her fiance, but that's her father. She might not want him to do something to her father, but that's why he was quiet. But when she was slapped, he couldn't control himself to go for her. He held her shoulders and asked her, are you okay? Wine's father, how dare you touch my daughter? Get out from here, or I'll have to drag you out. Jungkook had nothing to say to him, for he looked at Wine's eyes and asked her again, do you still want to live in a place like this? She was quiet, but her father wasn't. He was screaming while telling him to get out from here. Jungkook, I'll have to go. This is your only chance. Just say one word and I'll take you out of here. Whin's dad. I've had enough of you. Don't say that I didn't warn you. He called his guards from outside to throw Jungkook outside the mansion. They came in and started dragging Jungkook by holding his arms. Wine saw this and ran towards him. Without thinking about her life, she crashed her lips upon his and kissed her for a second, then told him, Please, please take me with you. All of a sudden, he smiled looking at her as he said, That was it. You made a good decision. And in an instant after saying that, Jungkook threw the guards that were holding him and started beating them all. He was beating them that other security guards with guns in their hands came inside. As Jungkook was here as a bodyguard, he also had a gun, which he took out and put it on John's head. Jungkook looked at Vine's dad when he said, Tell them to lower their guns. This man is important to you, right? If he dies, you won't get any of his money. And as expected from Vine's father, he didn't think twice before ordering them to let these two go quietly. Jungkook smiled while holding her hand and took her to the outside. They ran while having hands held by each other. They looked at each other while running and believed in each other, for they sat in a taxi to go away from there. They smiled while looking at each other when they were finally calmed down, as the both escaped from their hell like lives. Jungkook pecked her lips, and she did the same back to him. Jungkook, I promise I'll protect you. I'm your bodyguard anyway. She laughed, looking at him, and rested her head on his shoulder, saying, I finally feel free. Whereas the taxi carried them far away, where no one will be able to find them, just the two of them.